Welcome back, everyone. This is Thomas Triple T Ty with another new bullish crypto analysis. Before we dig in, remember this is for edutainment only and not to be considered as financial advice. Additionally, when you find value, feel free to smash the like, ring my bell, hit subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section. I would appreciate it. Before we dive in and take a look at the crypto, Bitcoin, and equities markets around the world, let's take a look at some news items that may impact the markets. First, we have the Dutch or Dutch bank it's the first one to it's the first big bank to forecast a U.S. Recession, and this is according to CNN Business. Their thesis is that the Federal Reserve's fight against inflation will spark a recession in the United States, and they don't think the Fed is going to be able to create a soft landing for the market, and they're calling for a recession. Recession's been in the talk for like weeks now. And because the 5-year yield versus the 30-year yield inverted, and the 2 and the 10 inverted last Friday. And so that plus the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, we got high inflation, we got supply chain dynamic issues, we got COVID in China, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Europe. The U.S. is faring okay on COVID. But there's a lot of factors that they're anticipating the Fed's going to be more aggressive or hawkish in tightening their monetary policy to push the economy. That could push the economy into a recession while they try to fight inflation. Do I think that's going to happen? I think there's a probability. It's very difficult to Jerome Powell, he's got such a tough job. It's extremely difficult to create a soft landing when you're fighting literally out of control inflation, and with all these macro variables in play at the same time. It's extremely hard. He's got such a challenging job, and I appreciate what he does. It's very hard. Let's go to the next news item. Rich Dad Poor Dad author warns against a major crash coming. He warns that a major crash is coming, and he says that Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and gold are a potential way out. And this is for if you have not heard of him, his name is Robert Kiyosaki. Great book, by the way. I read it. He's been warning about a market crash for quite some time now. Sooner or later, he'll be right. Do I agree with him? Yes, I do. I agree with him. When is it going to happen? No one knows. But it does happen. If you look at history, it happens over periods of time. And if you say it enough, of course, you're going to be right. So do I agree with him that Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and gold are a potential way out? Sure, minus the gold. I'm not a fan of gold. I don't even like jewelry. But yeah, I think all markets will be hurt. But I think you have more potential in holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. At the same time, though, it's so important to have dry powder or money set aside. I know people are like, yeah, don't hold on to U.S. dollar because there is devaluing. Yeah, I agree, but you need U.S. dollar to buy some of this crypto when the market crashes. That's the best time to buy them. So the one thing I would add to this article is that hold some dry powder on the side. Hold some money on the side because you wish you had. Money, wealth is made at the bottom, and richness is realized at the top. So set aside some dry powder. And if you've been following me for quite some time, I keep telling people that. Keep money aside. All right, the 10-year yield, 10-year Treasury yield hits its high for the year after Brainard signals speedy Fed tightening. Brainard is it's a Federal Reserve Governor, Leo Brainard, um, and typically Brainard is very how do I say this? I don't know the word. Anyways, forget it. But after this announcement, the the U.S. 10-year yield, well, Brainerd indicated that an aggressive approach to shrinking the central bank's balance sheet, there, in other words, be more aggressive in dealing with inflation, meaning raising interest rate, be more hawkish. Brainerd typically is more soft. And if Brainerd, who is typically soft, says that we need to hike interest rate more aggressively, the market reacted. I think this played a huge deal in the market, what happened in the market today. The 10-year Treasury note hit a high of 2.562% before settling down at 541. And so something to keep in mind. I think this next FOMC meeting will be critical, and the result that comes out of it. And more challenging news: 30-year fixed mortgage rates crossed 5%. Recently, it was 4.6 something, and now it's standing at 5.02%. Sure, that's gonna cool off the demand, but also, like I mentioned in the previous video, it's gonna create some challenges for people qualifying for loans, because banks now will be more stringent on debt to income ratio and who they lend to, etc., etc. So yeah, lots of headwind here, people. CNBC reported bear market rally is setting stage for a correction. Morgan Stanley's Mike Wilson warns. Basically, what he's saying is that despite the recent market bounce, Mr. Wilson said that expect or bracing for an S&P 500 decline of at least 13% between now and September. Well, you're thinking, if you're into crypto, why should you care? Guess what? There is a 0.9% correlation between the S&P 500, or was it the Nasdaq? But they're similar. 0.9% correlation between S&P 500 / Nasdaq and Bitcoin, or the crypto market. So, more headwind. There was another article in Market Watch where Brainerd, the governor, one of the governors for the governor's board, says that inflation is much too high with risk. With risk, it might even go higher. Well, I'm anticipating. I'm not. It might. It's a very soft word. It's gonna go higher. It's gonna go ridiculously high. I think it's gonna go into the nines and tens, like it did previous history. In what, I forget what year it was. I did a video on this not too long ago, but in history, it did go up to that point. I'm expecting it. It's not might. I think it's very likely. U.S. to announce new sanction package. This is U.S. and the European countries. New sanction package on Russia starting Wednesday. They're coordinating this with 7 nations, the European Union. Yeah, sanction the heck out of Russia. What they're doing to Ukraine, it's horrendous. It's the civilian casualties, the atrocities, just the war crimes over there, ridiculous. The U.S. will stop Russian bond payments. What they're raising risk of default. The U.S. has, in case you didn't know, different nations have different accounts in various countries where they hold like so for example the dollars or euro, etc. And since the U.S. sanctioned Russia, they're allowing Russia to only use that money in those accounts for certain transactions. And so now they're planning to stop the Russian government on Monday from paying holders of its sovereign debt more than 600 million from the reserve that are held in the U.S. banks. So if the Russians can't touch those U.S. dollar reserves, it's going to be tough for them to pay for sovereign debts that are denominated in U.S. dollars. So that puts a risk on Russia for defaulting. So far, they have not. And but this is it's a tremendous move. It could create some struggles for Russia. Shanghai enters COVID lockdown despite lower symptomatic cases. They're very strict, zero tolerance, zero COVID policy. They're shutting down the financial center of 26 million people. There's growing anger over there about quarantine rules in the city. And they're showing about an average about 268 daily symptomatic cases. So how does this impact us? Well, or the world? Well, Shanghai is a gateway. It's a huge gateway for international trades, and also financially and import and export. Think like, for example, you may not be able to get some stuff, from China on time, or trades may not, supplies and may not be able to go through there when you don't have people, when people are locked down. U.S. lawmakers introduced companion bill to mitigate a risk from El Salvador's Bitcoin law. Again, more wasted politicians' time on saying El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin could hurt the U.S. financially, or their the dollar. The amount of taxes we pay these people. Jamie Dimon, J.P. Morgan CEO, flipped. Some of you may know, Mr. Dimon historically has been very much against crypto, very much against Bitcoin, etc., etc. Now he says decentralized finance and blockchains are real. Just think about this for a second. All of you who've been ahead of Jamie Dimon, not Demon, I didn't mean that. Jamie Dimon. Your bullishness on crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana, Luna, etc. This guy's pretty smart. He runs one of the top bank in the world, and you're ahead of this guy. Think about that for a second. Give yourself a pat on the back. See how smart you are? That's amazing. Jamie, Mr. Dimon, welcome aboard, sir. Official Formula One NFT game shuts down. Tokens are now practically worthless. You know, there's a lot of value in NFTs, metaverse, and etc. But guess what? Be very careful paying a lot of money for junk JPEGs or games that are built on NFTs, because when they shut down, guess what? You're SOL. So invest properly. Don't go for some of these trends or fads. All right, enough with the news. Let's dive into the charts. Bitcoin crypto heat map here. Making my mouse highlighter on. Bitcoin down 0.24% at 45.9. Dominance 40.92. Ethereum 3.5K down 1.04%. Dominance still above 19 at 19.48. That's pretty rad. BNB, one of the few that's in the green today, 450. Uh, 1.29 up, dominance 3.48. Luna's down, but don't let that fool you. It's still setting record all-time highs. It's at 115.92. Remember, Luna was at $43 a couple weeks ago. Okay. So anyways, overall, pretty red day. We got some greens here. Doge. I tried to short Doge, but its price hasn't climbed back up to 0.1798 or so. It was at 0.1800 as a high, but it dropped and it hasn't come back. So bummer. Sorry, Doge fans. Had to short you. The reason Doge most likely went up is because Elon became a major shareholder in Twitter, and anything Elon does moves Doge sometimes. Anyways, overall, a pretty red day for crypto. Let's take a look at the U.S. equities market. Kind of blood red day for U.S. equities here. Technology is blood red and muted red. Apple's down negative 1.89, Microsoft negative 1.30, Nvidia negative 5.22. Communication services overall pretty red, kind of muted red. Consumer cyclical overall pretty red. Amazon down negative 2.55%, Tesla down negative 4.73%, and Baba down negative 5.53%. Yeah, pretty red. Home improvement and it's more muted. Consumer defensive, more muted green over here. Walmart up 0.28%. Procter & Gamble 0.35. Muted over here. Down here in financials, pretty red. Blood red to muted red. JP Morgan negative 1.89%. BAC down 1.69%. Yeah, pretty red here and the muted red. We go over to healthcare. Decent green, not bright green, but decent green. That's one sector that survived today. And also healthcare plans here. Well, that's a sub part of this. Industrials, pretty bloody. Real estate, we got some greens here, but overall, pretty red. Utilities, not too bad. Some decent, mostly greens here. Energy sectors hurting today too. Red and muted red. We got basic materials, red and muted red here. So overall, horrible day for the market, crypto, and equities in the U.S. Let's take a look at the trends. Bitcoin, since yesterday, Bitcoin went up yesterday, recovered, and then dropped right before the market opening today, and it's been chopping sideways. Nasdaq index here, market open, dropped. Same thing with the S&P 500 index, dropped at market opening and continue to drop. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, same thing, open, dropped, and continue to drop. Let's look at positive correlations. Positive correlation between Bitcoin and Nasdaq and S&P 500. It's somewhat correlated in the latter part of the day because Bitcoin did go up slightly and then it dropped back down. So slight positive correlation at the end of the second half of the trading period. What about Bitcoin and DXDY? DXDY open strong, going up at the market opening. And Bitcoin went up too, so kind of halfway correlated at the second half of the trading period. Here's the U.S. 10-year yields spiking strongly right here since probably midday yesterday U.S. time and continue to rise. You can see here, putting out all-time high there. Or not all-time high, recent highs. So overall, U.S. market looks pretty bad for today. And that's why I went over the news first, and I want to wait for those news cycle to get released first and then do this analysis. Over here, we have European market in their UK 100 went up and then corrected slightly here around the US time, US opening time. DAX in Germany, DAX dropped in this last session. Same thing with the CAC here. It's dropped and it went sideways. The S double XP stock 600. Here it dropped in its last session and then somewhat recovered. So pretty mix here in the European market and stock 600. Over in Australia, it pumped and then it dropped in its last session. The Nikkei 225 index opened higher than previous session and then kind of went choppy. Similarly with the KOSPI from South Korea, opened slightly down from its previous session, and then it went up and then just kind of like hung there. Not a strong movement, but slight movement. The Hang Seng, Hong Kong Hang Seng HSI opened up and stay up. So Asian market looks like in this last session looks like it's got a little bit of recovery. The Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 opened higher than its previous session. Actually, you know what? It hasn't. It's been close. So yeah, it's been close. It's not even open right now. So overall, what these trends here basically, it's U.S. trends down, Europeans mix, and you got Australian it's down. We got Asia recovering slightly. I think overall the tone is more down than it is up in the world. Here we in the watch list, you can see SPX, NDQ, and DJI all trending down here. Get the VIX back over 20. It's currently at 21.03. That's up 13.25%. It was like it dropped multiple days down below 20, and now it's back up. Volatility is climbing again. The DXDY, we already talked about that. It's currently at 99.49. We already talked. Here's the 10-year yield. It's at recent high, up 6.34%. Oil is slightly over 100 at $101. That's down negative 2.52. Gold is down also at down negative 0.47. It's at 1,923. Silver is also down. Euro paired with the dollar, that's down, dollar stronger. Pound paired with the dollar is down, dollar stronger. Dollar versus yen, that's up, so dollar's stronger. And that's reflected in this basket over here on the DXDY. The dollar's pretty strong here. So if the dollar continues to climb, strong possibility that Bitcoin might continue to drop, or Nasdaq and S&P 500 might continue to drop. That basically covers this chart pretty quick. Summary, what do I expect? I expect today's Tuesday in the U.S. I think the remaining week, the remaining days of this week will be interesting to gauge with some of this macro news that's coming out, especially with major banks calling for at least one so far, major bank calling for the U.S. Market to go into recession, and more extreme high inflation expected to come out soon. So, yeah, it's and the war in Ukraine, of course, it's continued to be a challenge. China continues to be something that we want to watch. So. 1 of 3 video down for the day. I appreciate your time. I have 2 more videos left. That is the Bitcoin daily analysis, and also today is Tuesday, so it's Terra Tuesday for the weekly analysis for that one. I'll see you there. Remember to smash the like, ring my bell, hit subscribe if you haven't, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Peace. See you later.